So if you're on vacation or on a business trip, should you have someone be feeding your fish while you're gone, or should you fast those fish? When we come back, we're going to dive into that and talk a little bit about this very important subject, and we will discuss the options that you might have. Hang in there with me, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to talk today a little bit about feeding your fish while you're either on vacation, on a business trip, out of town for a short period of time. Is it a good idea to have someone taking care of your fish while you're gone, or is it better to fast your fish? Well, it depends a lot on how long you're going to be gone for and whether or not you have someone who's very reliable at feeding your fish and those kinds of things. So one of the things that I get asked a lot is about feeding fish when people are out of town. And the first thing I want to talk about is whether or not I think it's a good idea and what I personally do. Most of the time, if I'm going to be gone for 5 to 7 days, somewhere in that vicinity, I will typically fast my fish. Now, the reason for that is I don't want my fish tank getting dirty, overfed, and that kind of thing, and have conditions when I come back be a problem. So I like to take and fast my fish for that period of time simply because it's not harmful. Fish can go a period of time without eating, and I think this is best to really just allow those fish to have no food at all while you're gone, and not take the chance, like I said, that your tank is going to get polluted with excessive amounts of food and that kind of thing. Now, a lot of times, not many people have the full complement of cleaner fish or bottom feeding fish that are going to go around and take care of any extra fish food that may get to the bottom of the tank. Now, discus and angels and those kind of fish are typically good at going down to the bottom and looking for this extra food, but they're not real good at getting into the nooks and crannies, especially in a very heavily planted tank, and finding that food. If you have a full complement of say corydoras and small fish such as Plecostomus and those kinds of things, and you're probably going to be okay with fish that are going to pick up that excess food and get it out of that tank. But then the problem you have is also waste in the tank. If you end up with a lot of waste in the tank, you still have the same problem when you get back, and that is you have a tank that is not been cared for while you're gone, as far as doing water changes and things like that. A lot of people are just not going to ask anyone or have someone that is able to do water changes, especially if you have multiple tanks. So in my opinion, if you are on a vacation or a business trip that's a 5 to 7 day trip, I simply would allow your fish to be not fed, and I don't want to starve your fish. I'm not suggesting you starve your fish, but I would fast your fish. That's a good word to use probably for this particular situation, because it's not going to hurt them at all. Many fish, when you first get them, as you notice, they don't eat for several days, and they don't have a problem with surviving that period of time. If you have fish that are well established in your tank and are doing well, and their environment is clean and so forth, then you're not going to have any issues with giving those fish no food for a period of 5 to 7 days and coming back, and those fish will be totally fine. Now let's talk about it if you're on an extended period of time that you're going to be gone, and you need someone to take care of those fish as far as feeding them goes, and possibly even doing some water changes. Here's what I recommend to you. If you're going for a couple of weeks perhaps, what I recommend is having someone feed your fish every 2 to 3 days while you're gone, so that those fish will get some kind of nutrition and not suffer. 2-week period is a little bit of a longer period of time for your fish to go without food. So what I would recommend is finding someone that's extremely reliable and asking them to care for your fish. If they can also do water changes for you, and they're familiar with your water changing system and your water changing program, that's fantastic to have someone do that. But not many people have that option. So what I would recommend, as I said, is every 2 to 3 days, or excuse me, every 3 days, I would recommend that you have someone come in and feed your fish. And I would do that by having fish food in amounts that are perfect for each tank set up, so that somebody can come in with the right mixture of food. This is not going to involve foods that are fresh foods, such as live blackworms or frozen foods and those kinds of things. These are just simply a little more complicated to ask someone to come in and feed. But if you can take, what I like to do is take those little pill cases that are long, and they've got a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on them, and fill those up for the days that you want your fish fed. Have a couple of those set up for each tank in your gallery. They're really cheap, sometimes 39, 49 cents, but they're absolutely perfect for putting small amounts of food in there that you can have someone come in and drop into your tank, and they work fantastic as far as regulating how much food each tank gets based on what you think is best for your fish. These are really great ideas, and those little pill cases, basically is what these things are fantastic for setting up a feeding schedule for someone who is caring for your fish while you're out of town or unavailable. Now, the other thing that you want to do is, if you're having someone do water changes, you want to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing, because this can get really problematic as well. And I personally don't think, if you're feeding your fish every 3 days, that it's necessary to do any water changes in that period of time, because the amount of waste and so forth, if you have good bottom feeders, if you have dithering fish such as tetras and barbs and so forth in your tanks, then you're going to find that most of that food is going to be scavenged and found and taken care of. Now, as far as waste goes, if you're feeding every 3 days, you're not going to have a problem or an overabundance of waste in your tank. So again, I don't find it necessary to do water changes, but if you have someone that's reliable and has watched you do this, and you have trained them really well at it, then that's something that you need to decide on your own whether or not this is something that you want to take a chance on. Personally, I would rather have my fish fed. If I'm on a 2-week vacation, I would rather have my fish fed every 3 days with the kinds of food, like I said, that are in those little pill cases in front of each and every tank, and they know exactly how much food to put in there. You can put flake in there, you can put pellets, so forth, whatever you might need to keep the fish, the varieties of fish in your tank healthy. That's really important. It's a real effective way to make sure that your fish are getting the nutrition that they need if you are concerned about the period of time that you're going to be gone. So in summation here, what I would tell you, just to remind you of what I said here, if you're going to be gone for 5 to 7 days, typically I would suggest that you don't feed your fish at all while you're gone. No fish are going to suffer any kind of lack of nutrition or anything while you're gone. Most fish that are healthy, if you have a good healthy tank, are going to be able to deal with a 5 to 7 day period of fasting and not be affected at all. If you are going on a trip, like I said, or a business trip, or you're going to be away for any reason for up to 2 weeks, again, using the system that I talked about earlier in the video is extremely easy to set up for someone who is taking care of your fish, and that is to get those little pill cases that have exact amounts of food in there, and you can just have them basically open those up, leave the other ones closed, dump it into the tank, and they get exactly the amount of food that you want them to get, and they're getting a little bit of food to keep them going. And this is perfectly safe to do, and it's a very easy system for someone who's watching your tank to be able to accomplish while you're gone. That's not a lot to ask of someone. You set it up, you make it easy for them, and the bottom line is that that's something that you know while you're gone. If someone is doing that, you know that your fish are being fed a little something, but you're not feeding them so much that you're polluting the tank and causing an environment where you have excessive amounts of ammonia, nitrites, nitrates, etc., and you don't have to worry about changes. I hope this was helpful to those of you who have been asking me about this, because I thought this was an important video for us to really understand how this works and how much you can fast your fish while you're gone and not have any effect on their health and the quality of your fish tank. Now, also, if you have very full planted tanks, which many of us do, my gallery has many of those, and also tanks that don't have as much of that. But like I said, if you have a combination of a lot of plants in the tank that are going to take those organics and use them to their advantage, the plants, or you have a complement of good bottom feeding fish and those types of fish that are cleaner fish that are moving around your tank all the time, such as corridoras, like we talked about, loaches, those kind of fish that are working the bottom of the tank. That's a great kind of fish to have to make sure that food does not go wasted and sitting in the bottom of your tank. These fish are constantly moving around, even in the dark. In fact, corridoras can be more active at night than they will during the day. So these are great fish to have in your tank to balance that out. I recommend these fish even if you're not leaving and going on trips and that sort of thing, just to keep the bottom of your tanks clean. I hope I answered all your questions today. Thank you for joining me on this one. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. That's how the channel is built, and I do appreciate it. I'm sorry I haven't had a video out in a while. I've been taking care of some things that I had to do, and this is kind of something that reminded me of this because I've been out of town here recently and visiting a aging mother back east and visiting with family, and I have had to put some of these things into practice while I've been gone. So I wanted to hit on this when I got back because it reminded me that many of you have been asking about this. Thanks for joining me again. I appreciate it. Hang in there. We will see you on the next one. Until then, we're out of here.